We believe in God the Father. Anybody got daddy issues in here? Anybody got daddy issues where some of us didn't even know who our dads were? Some of us hated our dad. Some of us, we hated that we looked like our dad. We didn't ever want to come home because we knew our dad was there. We couldn't wait to leave the home because our dad was abusive and harsh and angry all the time. Maybe he was an alcoholic or whatever, and when we think of our dad, it's like the worst possible memories you could ever just think of in your head. You go, if there's no one I hate worse than my dad. For some of us, that's a reality, and I want to be sensitive to that. But I want to show you something this morning, that God, who is not a man, I want to be really clear about something. God is not a male. Okay? Mormon theology teaches that the God of this universe is the actual physical male, and that there's a divine mother, and you and I are spirit children, that we were propagated in the spiritual realm before we got our physical bodies. Okay, I want to be something really clear. God is not a man. He's not a male. He doesn't have male genitalia. He doesn't look like a man. But the pictures that we get in the Bible, God reveals himself as a father. Why would God do that when fathers are so imperfect and dysfunctional? Because just because something is broken does not mean there's not a good example of it somewhere. You understand what I'm saying? Just because your car is broken doesn't mean there's a perfect example of that car somewhere that works and is functional. So, watch this. God reveals himself as a father that builds things, that makes things. Genesis 1:1, he builds this universe. Men love to build. They build companies. They make civilizations. They name cities after themselves. Jeffersonville, or Pastor Jim Land, or whatever. Right? That's what men do. Women, not so much of a drive for women. Women are more relational. They find their value typically from connection, from interpersonal connections. That's typically how women work. That's how they're built. Men typically not so. They're the lone wolf kind of thing. I was amazed that we even got that many guys to our men's retreat. So I'm like, I don't need to go to no men's retreat. I don't need to be with no men. I'm going to go take care of my own business. And women are like, I can't wait to get together. You know? It's been 2 days since I talked to somebody. Men are like, I haven't talked to somebody in 14 years. Men and women are just built differently. Nothing wrong or right about it. It's just they're different creatures. But men, and I want to focus on this for a second, because God reveals himself as a father. So let's look at what that role should be. God identifies himself as an architect. Most architects and engineers are men. God identifies himself as the builder of the universe. He has built everything in the way that your father created you. You are genetically like your father, whether you like to or not. You got that receding hairline going, you're like, Dad, thanks. Whatever it is, you might love it, you might hate it, but the fact is you are genetically part of your dad. God reveals himself as that kind of architect. I build humans, I build the universe, I build suns and things out in space that you'll never even see. I built that. Look at this. We believe in God the Father. The Father is the architect of creation and salvation. And we see that in Isaiah 42 and Isaiah 45 and Isaiah 53. And I want to look at John 20, verse 21. This is just a fantastic verse. And Jesus is sent by his Father as a good son is sent to go do something that his Father sends him to do. Now, many of us, when we send our sons to go do something, it's like, there's a 50-50 chance it's going to ever get done. Go take the trash out. Go pick up after the dog. Go do a cartwheel in the street. I mean, whatever you tell your son to do, it's like, I don't know if it's actually going to get finished or done. Jesus is sent by his Father to do the work of God. And as a good son, which we'll see in the next point, Jesus finishes the work that God gives him to do. But God has a plan in his mind. God sends his son to come save us. That is not, watch this, trip out. For those of you that are growing up in the church, watch this. It was not Jesus' plan to come save us. It was not the plan of Jesus to come save us. It was the plan of God the Father to come save us. Every time Jesus says, I have come to do whose will? I have come to do God's will. I've come to do the Father's will. I come to do what my dad sent me to do. Wouldn't you love it if your son or daughter said that to you, dads? You're like, I have come to do your will, O Father. Like, bless you, child. Now go take out the trash. That'd be awesome, right? You're like, I can't even fathom that happening, right? Because it doesn't happen except for Jesus, right? Jesus said to them, peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, so am I sending you. And the Father sends the Son to save humanity. God is known not just as some distant architect. Many of our founding fathers, they saw God as kind of a deistic God. Like he just builds a watch. Like this is kind of how they viewed God. Okay, so I know the universe didn't come out of nothing, because matter's not eternal, and energy needs a place of residence to be propelled from. I know that doesn't come out of nowhere. So because God is some kind of architect, okay, cool, I can deal with that. But it's almost like God just builds a watch, and then he leaves. And the watch is set to just run by itself. I don't care about humanity. I just built it and I left. Kind of like some of our dads, right? He made the family and he just bailed. And he leaves mom to run the whole house. Or he leaves mom to work at Denny's or whatever for tips to try to keep the family alive and keep them in an apartment, right? Some of us, that was our experience growing up. It's like dad just kind of created the family and he goes, okay, looks like my work is done here. I'm gone. And he just kind of left going, really, that's it? No relationship, no I'm sorry, no nothing. We just left to just be alone. I guess that's it. Just like a ticking watch that's thrown on the ground. It's built, but nobody really cares about it once they leave. Is that the kind of God that we have? Some people believe that. But that's not the God that the Bible says exists. The Bible says God is an architect that he builds, but he also loves his creation. He not only builds the watch, but he puts it on, and he loves it. Look at this. God is the architect of salvation. He sends his Son to save us. He doesn't just build the world and leave. He builds the world, and then he loves it. We believe that God the Father is the ultimate authority and is holy, perfect, good, just, means he demands justice. He is gracious, merciful, and loving. No one has seen God the Father at any time, but God the Son has made him known. I'm going to